Hello, Lady A here, and welcome to episode 5 of the Andromeda Archives, Helios' failed stellar king, where we discuss the planet Jupiter, its makeup, its namesake, its origin, and why it's considered a failed star, along with what would happen to our solar system if it did somehow become a star. So sit back, relax, and join me as we crack open today's story from the archives. Jupiter, Zeus, king of the gods in the Greco-Roman pantheon, very famous for his romantic escapades and other pursuits. But let's not get into that right now.
2,000 years later.
I mean, who the hell turns into a goose to get someone to sleep with you, or kidnap a prepubescent boy to serve you drinks 'cause he's hot? Oh, sorry about that. Got a bit sidetracked. Anywho, Jupiter is today's subject, the largest planet of our solar system, with a radius of 43,440.7 miles, or 69,911 kilometers. This makes it roughly 11 times wider than Earth. If Earth were the size of a nickel, then Jupiter would be a basketball by comparison. Jupiter is 5.2 astronomical units from the Sun, or 484 million miles, or 778 million kilometers. This means that sunlight takes 43 Earth minutes to reach this gaseous giant. Jupiter has the shortest days of all the planets in the solar system, being only 10 Earth hours. However, a Jovian year is 12 Earth years. Much like Earth, Jupiter does have seasons, but due to the planet's tilt being very small, only 3 degrees, its seasons are not as extreme as others. Infamous spacecraft Voyager 1, on this trip out the solar system, discovered in 1979 that Jupiter, like Saturn, had rings. This came as a surprise to scientists as it was unknown that other planets other than Saturn had rings. Nowadays, we know that all the gas giants have rings, but only Saturn's is the most easily visible. How these rings are made is quite simple. Dust is kicked up when meteorites crash into its moons. So, unlike Saturn's rings made up of debris and ice, making it very visible, Jupiter's rings, being mostly dust, not as visible. How old is Jupiter, and how was it formed? Well, 4.5 billion years ago, a bunch of swirling gas and dust were just minding their own business. Then, much like a rabid tumbler shipper, gravity decided to force them together, resulting in the sun we look to for warmth and life today. The leftovers of which end up becoming Jupiter, making it have more than twice the material of the rest of the solar system. 500 million years later, it settled into its position we know today as the 5th planet from the Sun. What is Jupiter made of? Well, seeing as it's the leftovers from the Sun, mostly hydrogen and helium. It also has an ocean, however, the largest in the solar system. But, thanks to its atmosphere and the intense pressure, the hydrogen gas has become a liquid. It is believed that roughly in the planet's core, the pressure is so great that the hydrogen atoms lose their electrons, charging the liquid with its rotation, driving the currents to generate the massive magnetic field that Jupiter has today. It is still unclear if somewhere in Jupiter there is a central core of solid material, or if it may be a thick, super hot, dense, soup-like structure. It could be up to 90,032 degrees Fahrenheit or 50,000 degrees Celsius down there, made up of mostly iron and silicate minerals, similar to, say, quartz. And the idea of quartz, how it looks can be quite different depending on who you ask, especially between Steven Universe and Minecraft fans. As mentioned in previous episodes, Juno is a spacecraft that was sent to orbit Jupiter. However, it is the most recent spacecraft to have some interaction with Jupiter. 9 other spacecrafts have visited it, 2 orbited, and 7 flew by. And in the Ganymede episode, along with Juno, where it's mentioned that Jupiter has a giant storm, the Great Red Spot, this storm has been raging for over a century, and is slowly decreasing in size and speed. Being the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter has popped up quite often in pop culture, from movies, TV shows, video games, and comics. It's popped up in Futurama, Power Rangers, Halo, and even mentioned briefly in Men in Black, where Agent J, played by Will Smith, mentions he thought one of his childhood teachers was from Venus. Agent K, played by Tommy Lee Jones, replied she's actually from one of Jupiter's moons. And seeing as there's over 75 of them, who knows which one she could be from. A specific discovery date can't be said for Jupiter, as it has been known of since ancient times, as back then, without giant cities with electric lights, the sky was much clearer without light pollution, meaning it could be seen with the naked eye. The 9 spacecrafts that I've mentioned that have visited Jupiter are Pioneer 10 and 11, Voyager 1 and 2, Cassini, New Horizons, and Juno, just to name a few. Jupiter is often considered a failed star, and seen as it is literally made over from the leftover materials that formed our Sun, it is quite fair to think so. But why is it not a star? Well, despite its massive size, Jupiter did not have enough mass for nuclear fusion required to ignite as a star. To do so, you'd need to throw at least 79 more Jupiters to fuse with it to become a red dwarf, the most common and some of the dimmest stars in the universe. If Jupiter became a red dwarf, it would be only 0.3% of the Sun's luminosity. However, it is not a true failed star, as below red dwarfs, there is a category called brown dwarfs, which for Jupiter to become one would be 50 times its current mass. They barely shine and are practically useless as stars, but they'll be explored in a future episode. So what if Jupiter became a star? What, if anything, would be different? Well, gravitational pull would definitely shift how the planets operate, which would lead to climate becoming much colder for many. The Galileo moons would be considered the Galileo planets, and the asteroid belt would be destabilized, causing asteroids to be flung towards Earth and the other planets around it. Its current ratio is 73% hydrogen to 24% helium, which, compared to the Sun's 71% hydrogen to 27% helium, shows that it was just out of reach of truly becoming a star. And that concludes today's episode, Helios' Failed Stellar King. Join me next time for a Miss Stellar Universe pageant. We look at the different types of stars in our universe, their abilities, how they're formed, and the effects they have on their respective solar systems. Take care, and remember, The universe is the greatest archive, and you are the stardust that makes it special. Thanks for listening.